Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like Nolan Arenado, is happy to admit we're not that good. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, David Samorka.
What is up, Natey H?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Hambone, how you doing? How are things? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing just fine. Hanging in there.
Yeah, good. I wanted to say we don't normally start the show on a serious note, but we had a bit of a thing happen here in St. Louis over the last week, and I know a lot of our listeners are in St. Louis, or at least St. Louis interested. And just big love to everyone impacted by the tornado. Pretty wild, and a lot of damage, a lot of problems. So if you're out there, if you're impacted by it, we love you. So hopefully recovery goes quick. Hambone, you were just telling me you've been rewatching all of the Mission Impossible movies. We like to talk about movies on this podcast.
Hell yeah, brother.
How many is that? 8?
No, I think there's 6, right? And we're 6.5, or it's 5.5, 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Because Dead Reckoning has been split up into 2. I think that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched the last 2. About every 4 or 5 years, Molly and I go through a Tom Cruise phase. We just watch a bunch of Tom Cruise films. And so we watched Top Gun Maverick recently. And a little while ago, we caught up on the Mission Impossible until these most recent ones. But I haven't watched did the original hold up? Did you rewatch that recently?
The original is awesome. Yes, it super holds up. Number 2, not so much. And then after that, it gets really good. But the first one is awesome. I don't know if
I
I've
need to
seen it
rewatch
since
it.
I was
I've also
a wee
been
boy.
thinking about getting back into the old Bond movies. Have you dug into Bond movies
I don't
at all?
love the Bond movies. I was I thought I was into James Bond when I was a kid, and GoldenEye was happening, like the video game and the movie,
Sure.
and that was a very important movie for little tiny
Of course.
Ben eating his popsicles or whatever, his fudgy pops, watching movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think those
A lot of
movies
fudgy
are very
pops.
good. And I don't know. I've never really been into the Bond movies. Even the Casino Royale and the newer ones, I've never really been a huge fan. I like Daniel Craig. I have no problem. I saw the last one in theaters. Just not my, I don't know. Mission Impossible is better, I think.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen any of them in a long time, so it's hard for me to say. But I've seen every single James Bond movie, and I was really into them when I was younger. I've considered going back and rewatching them. But I really loved Skyrim and Casino Royale.
Skyrim,
pretty much everything
is
else.
a video game.
Skyrim, what is
Skyfall.
it? Skyfall.
James Bond just playing an RPG, leveling up, grinding.
Or you can be a guy with a gun in Skyrim.
That'd be good. You would probably win.
Yeah. Although I don't know, what's more, would you rather have a gun or the ability to shoot a fireball?
I mean, for the rest of my life, I'd rather have to shoot a fireball. But if I was in a battle with somebody that had a fireball, I would rather have a gun. It's like that scene in Indiana Jones where the guy's doing all the whip and everything. He just shoots them. Yeah.
Wow. We love Indiana Jones, don't we, folks? Well, cool. So is the new one? Are you going? Is this climaxing, and you going to see the new one in theaters?
Of course.
Is it out? Yeah.
No, it's not out yet. It comes out this week or next week, very soon. But yeah, I love to see a Mission Impossible in theaters. Love to get excited about it. It's always good. I support everything, every decision that Tom Cruise has ever made. And the way in which he goes about his life, I support fully.
Yeah, I personally enjoy him for his off-the-screen decisioning. On screen, meh.
I think it's just a man that's never made a mistake.
He's definitely gonna die on set, right?
I think he's trying to.
Yeah.
I was watching. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's going to die on set. Whether it's going to space or falling out of an airplane or just crashing a motorcycle, I think he kind of wants to. I don't know.
Or just have a heart
I
attack.
don't know enough about Scientology. I don't know that if
90-year-old Tom
if you
Cruise.
die accidentally like that, maybe you get to Xenu quicker. Maybe he's rushing to the finish line. I don't really know enough about it.
Yeah, there was a time in my life where I was really into, I think it was circa when like South Park was really, laying into Scientology. I was right there with everyone else, loving to learn it all just so I could hate it even more. It's been a while though since I've really cared about Scientology and hating it. It's kind of seems to be mostly dead at this point. But there is something like that where like I think they're supposed to be invincible. Yeah.
There's a lot
Maybe
of
he
dead
is.
Scientologists, though. So
Yeah, but none of them have spent as much money as Tom Cruise, and he seems to be maybe actually invincible.
Okay.
Maybe I'm becoming a Scientologist.
yeah, I think
That'd be a twist. What if through this podcast I just documented my slow descent into Scientology?
I think that people would like that.
Hey, if you would like for me to slowly convert my entire life into following Scientology, scoot at us on Blue Sky.
Skeet.
Skeet at us on Blue Sky at Talk About Birds. Should we talk about baseball now?
Please.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so is it a good team? I don't know. It's starting to really feel like it, Hambone. We've had another good week of Cardinal baseball as we record on Wednesday. The Cardinals are about to start the rubber match against one of the best teams in baseball, at least this season so far. The Detroit Tigers almost stole a win against Tarek Skubal in last night's game. And I don't know, momentum keeps going. They are, a game back of first place, a game or two back of the wild card. Still playing very, very well. So at the very least, whether this is the kickstart of a successful season or just a moment, it has certainly been a lot of fun. We've got some news from the week to go into before we go into some of the outcomes of the last week. What do you want to start with?
We got to start with our captain, our highest paid player, our guy.
Yeah.
Nolan Arenado.
Wow.
He has moved himself back in the lineup, which it's funny how these things work, right? If you're a Nolan Arenado, it works that way. If you're not, you kind of get told what to do. It's dictated to you. But
Yeah.
Nolan Arenado dictates things to Ali Marmol. He decided to move himself back in the lineup. While he is in the middle of his third year in a row of being a league average hitter. His WRC plus going from 106 a couple of years ago, 102 last year, and it's currently sitting at 97. So obviously all just right around league average, and it's kind of dipping right now. Arenado said on his struggles, I think he was chatting with one of our friendly beat writers earlier this week. What does he need to do? Just play better. I don't really have an answer. Just play better. Play more the way I think I'm capable of, but it's been a minute since I felt like I could play the way I should, so I don't know if it's coming back or not. Kind of a big downer.
Spoken with true confidence. Yeah.
And, I get it, and I appreciate Nolan for being, pretty open and radically honest, or however you want to call that. But yeah, it's a little deflating to hear your highest paid player and potential future Hall of Famer basically say, like, it ain't working. It hasn't worked. I don't know if it's ever going to work. And I get it. I get feeling that way. It's superhuman to feel that way. He's not a superhuman.
Superhuman.
It is very human to feel that way.
Yeah.
I find it a little disappointing because I do think that there's probably a way where Nolan Arenado can turn himself back into an above average major league hitter. We've talked about how good his defense has been. If he can just get a little better on the hitting side, he could be a really solid player. But hearing that kind of like defeatism is not super. I'm not really like attracted to that, Love for him to turn that frown upside down a little bit, but I get it.
Come
at
on,
the same
just
time.
smile more. I think he's prettier when he smiles more.
Yeah.
It's I guess at the end of the day, I appreciate the transparency, because any answer otherwise would possibly ring untrue, considering it has been now a third season in a row. If he was just up there like, yeah, everything's great, it's just around the corner, we'd be like, all right, man, like, I hope so, but it certainly doesn't seem that way. So I appreciate him just saying like, I don't have it right now. And, having a willingness to step down in the lineup when he's surrounded by a bunch of guys who are hitting far better than him. I like that, but it is certainly, just kind of sad to see him, feel that way. Cause you gotta feel like that certainly doesn't feel like a piece of the recipe to getting back to being successful, is saying things like, it might just never come back.
Right.
Not usually what people guide you to do, to feel when you're trying to recover a former, high level skill. But I don't know. Everyone's got their own process. He did hit a ding dong dinger off of Tarek Skubal last night, which was a lot of fun and kind of looked like a classic Arenado pull side home run, which was fun. Yeah. So he still got, a little bit in him. And to be fair, right around 100 WRC plus with his defense, which has been elite or near elite again on this lineup, where there are a bunch of guys that are hitting pretty well. Like, he can still be a very valuable member of this team, just maybe not worth the 30 plus million and, all of that. But it's not to say it certainly doesn't seem like he's going to be a drain on this team.
No.
And if you do get his bat down in the lineup a little bit more, it starts to make a little bit more sense how he slots into this team.
Yeah. I think that Nolan Arenado could still be a positive offensive contributor to the team. I just think that he needs to adjust his approach. I think that, the problem is his average exit velo is low. And I think it's because he makes too much contact and really too much poor contact. He swings a lot. He doesn't strike out a lot. And he walks at a decent clip, not as high as I think somebody with his power potential should probably walk. I wonder if he reduces his amount of swings and kind of just focuses on launch, like going into launch mode all of the time. His strikeouts might double or even triple, which if they tripled, he'd be at 30%, which is, doesn't get you out of the game really. It's too high, but if he could trade that 11% K rate that he has right now and up his walks a little bit and double or triple that strikeout percentage, but add power, I feel like that is the direction that he needs to go, because I don't think he has enough bat speed and just general power right now in his career to kind of do the approach that he had earlier in his career. If he could transform into, I'm not saying he could be Nelson Cruz, but into more of that hunting for your pitch. Jock Peterson is a good example. He's having a bad start to the year right now, but somebody who's kind of morphed into a bit more of a 3 true outcomes type player. I feel like Nolan could extend his career a little bit, not career, but I guess his offensive status a little bit. And I think just the way he's going about it is a bit of a young man's game. When your skills degrade, you kind of have to make these adjustments. It's just like Adam Wainwright, chugging curveballs instead of leaning on his fastball, sinker, cutter more and more. Just kind of morphing your game to fit your current loadout as far as skills. Now, that being said, it's really easy for me to say while I sit here on my swivel chair talking to this dumbass on the other side of the screen.
How dare you?
But I want,
look at my new glasses. Don't I look smart?
Sure, dude. They look the same as your old glasses.
That's not true. They're slightly rounded. The last ones were more square.
Honestly, couldn't tell you. I try to
Wow.
actually have your face blocked most of the time when we're doing this.
Just a post-it note on the just staring at yourself.
Yeah. Oh God,
Healthy.
not that. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that if anybody could do it, Nolan Arenado could do it. And maybe that's something that him and Brant Brown are working on. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I do agree that homer off Skubal was really exciting. And if he just wants to keep jacking balls down the line, you don't have to spray the ball over the place. Be super pull heavy, hunt for homers. I think that there's probably a really good baseball player in there somewhere. He just needs to make that adjustment. And making the adjustment to getting older is something that a lot of baseball players have struggled with.
Yeah, that path you're talking about is a relatively common path for aging players to go to. Is you lean power, and I mean, he had such a power. He was such a prodigious power hitter at one point in his career that it's not like he can exceed that. But you will see some guys who will, their batting average will drop 40 points, but their power numbers go up, hit 10, 15 more home runs than they normally do in a season. And you could see that being pretty valuable from when you add in his defensive value, win you a few games just off of a well-timed, home run coming out of the 6th or 7th spot.
Yeah. I mean, at Rapujols' final year, I mean, all he was doing for the Cardinals that year was hunting those homers, swinging out of his shoes when he got it. And, he put together one of the most insane years I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he hit like 330 with like 15 home runs in 2 months or whatever. Yeah. So that was just talk about outliers.
I'm not saying Nolan Arenado can do that. I don't know if anyone can do that at age 42 or 48 or whatever he actually was. But I'm just saying, sure. as you kind of have to adjust to the body that you have. And I believe Nolan can do that. I also believe that he might be, and I'm fully projecting right now. I have no evidence to back this up, but just based on his demeanor and the way in which he goes about life, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a little slower to get there than maybe he should be.
Well, it's been 2 1/3 season of this sort of production in a steady decline. You could say, okay, a 106 with good defense, like that's a valuable player. But if we do start getting down to 90, 85 WRC plus type stuff, you do start to get into more of a worrying position with that.
Yeah. Matt Carpenter, I'll say, he had a similar progression until he kind of aged out of it. This, like you said, this happens. Players do this. And I think Nolan Arenado would really benefit. And I think he could do it because he has those contact skills. And when you see the low exit velocity, which I think is what he's been criticized for, like a lot of stat head or whatever have criticized him for that. He's had below, well, I guess not below average, but for a power hitter, lower than average exit velocity. The last year, his average exit velocity was 86.3. Right now, it's at 86.9. And really, you want that in the 90s if you're doinking a bunch of balls over the wall. So I was looking at his bat speed, and his average bat speed isn't that great, but he can still swing the bat over 75 miles per hour. And if you're doing that, you're in a really good spot. If he could just kind of sit back and focus on that A swing and, like I said, swing and miss a little bit more and get that bat over 75 miles per hour a little bit more, I just think all the tools are there. You just got to change your entire mindset at the plate, which is, again, I'm just talking in circles at this point, but I think I would love to see it. I think he can do it. And I'm trying to speak it into existence right now, I think is what's happening.
Well, we have determined that every player in the Cardinals and their coaching staff listens to this podcast and takes what we're saying and implements it pretty immediately. So hopefully,
sometimes even before the show comes out,
sometimes even before they know, they can tell. Yeah. I mean, we're live streaming straight into the dugout. I was just thinking, they have those the pitch clock games at stadiums. How you and I have done them before. With the rise in the prominence of bat speed and just the discussion of bat speed and all that, do you think they're going to start doing how hard can you swing a bat in like you could go to Busch, pay $20 and swing a bat 10 times in front of a camera and see how hard you swing a bat?
I mean, I think that you would want a ball to be thrown at you still, right? Not just like dry swinging in a cage. It kind of sounds silly, but yeah, they should. I don't know. I'd be curious. Like we're talking 75 miles per hour is an elite bat speed. So somebody's going to have really good luck with that. What am I, like a 30? Am I a 40? Like I have absolutely no idea.
I have no idea. Yeah. I go up there. I'm like, all right, stand back. Whoosh, 6 miles per hour.
Like if I'm trying to just purely move the bat through the zone as quickly as possible, there's no semblance of contact. Could I get to like 60? I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it's one of those things where we watch and we say like, oh, Stephen Kwan's a 63 mile per hour bat. That's not that fast. Oh, Yachty, his sprint speed is so slow. And then you actually like see it on the ground and you're like, all of us would get smoked by Yachty in a race, right? It's like, these are the best athletes in the world. I imagine you could, I'm just totally guessing here, but I imagine you could probably swing in the mid 30s to 40s. I'm probably in like the 20s.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I wonder, like, I golf as well, and they have like club head speed is a big thing. I wonder, like, if I could extrapolate my golf club head speed to my baseball club head speed.
Do you know what your golf club head speed is?
But there are driving ranges that'll tell you. But I couldn't even, like, again, my golf head could be 50 miles per hour. It could be 100. I have absolutely no idea.
I imagine you can swing a golf club faster than you can swing a bat, right?
They're lighter. Also, like that's lengthier.
It's a natural move, and it's a more natural movement swinging down like that, right? Than
depends on across. I mean, some days it doesn't feel like it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I get it, bro. Tough day out on the green. Yeah,
there's nothing when the boys are out on the links, Nate.
Oh yeah. Where's the beer cart, my dudes?
What? Are you doing like a surfer dude on the golf course?
Way to land the deal, my guy. Oh, we're out here out on the links. Business. I know how golf goes.
So you're a surfer dude, golfer on a business golf outing. You should go to SNL with
landing the deal.
You should go to SNL.
Always
with this.
Be
is good.
Closing. Yeah. ABC.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it.
You're a real adult.
We've all been there.
You're a real adult.
Oh, yeah.
You have real adult experiences.
Look at this. Look at me.
What? All right. Great dead air.
I'm a real adult.
Yeah. Piece of shit.
Shut up. All right. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum from the old guys on the team to the young guys on the team.
Oh, baby.
We gotta. It's been kind of talked about all season, but we haven't really talked about it as much on the show. Do we got a new catchphrase for this team? Do we got a new, happy flight, a new, I don't know, salsa or whatever it is? We got a new thing going.
I don't know about the salsa thing, but yeah, I think we do. Victor Scott has coined this new term that I think it's taking St. Louis by storm, Nathan. The Cardinals are describing themselves as youngry. Youngry, as in young and hungry.
I relate to one half of this.
Is this good? Is youngry good?
I think it's good.
You think so?
I think we gotta remember that these are athletes and not our
Victor
improv
Scott
comedy stars.
Is a lyricist, Nathan, and a rapist. So I think
he's a rapist.
He knows more than you and I.
That's a good point. It's fun. Who doesn't love a clumsy portmanteau?
That's a great point.
Youngry?
That's a great point.
It's good.
It's also been reported by John Denton that Arch Apparel is already working on making the Youngry shirts. So those are coming out.
Of course they are.
We should put them on our t-shirt store before Arch Apparel comes out so we can undercut them and get in there quick.
And then take them down via lawsuit. I think that's a great idea. I also cannot imagine this is the first time someone has used the phrase youngry. Young and hungry, like it's got to have existed before.
Yeah,
but I like it.
Interesting question. I'm gonna just Google search it raw and see. Oh, there is a musical artist of some type called Youngry. There's Arch Apparel's already got it up, Nate. The Youngry Dad hat is available. VS2 Youngry Dad hat, $25. or you could go to our website and buy something else. But that is out there.
Talkingaboutbirds.com.
I think it's fun. I think it speaks to this team being fun. Obviously, the guys are having fun. I don't know if I can ever remember a Cardinals clubhouse being reported as often as being fun and energetic. So I can, I'll just take it with, how it's being reported. It seems like they're really having a good time. Seems like the young guys have taken over, and maybe Nolan Arenado is sulking in the corner. But guys like Victor Scott and Newt Barr and whoever else are having a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of a time where they've certainly been fun teams. I already referenced like Happy Flight and stuff like that. Like we've had teams with
Do you
fun
see
little
Furcal just got
slogans
arrested?
No, I did not.
Yeah, Rafael Furcal just got arrested for a felony in Florida, I think it was.
Molly and I had we would call him Furkel and be, did I do that? So you think when he got arrested, he was like, did I do that?
Former MLB star Rafael Furcal charged in rock throwing road rage incident.
Oh no,
that guy's got a cannon.
Yeah, oh man. Hopefully, throw a rock like straight through both windshields of a car,
Yikes.
Front and back,
and then hit him with the "Did I do that?" As somebody's bleeding from their temple. Anyways,
but what I was gonna say is there's certainly obviously been fun, energetic teams, but when you do look over the I don't know, the last 25 years of successful Cardinal teams, they've been spearheaded, led by guys like Yadier Molina, Matt Holliday, Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, even, not guys you normally think of as like energetic and fun, So I think it's a very, very welcome change of pace. And they are the guys that are leading this team. I mean, obviously Contreras is a big part of that. He's not really that young, but he has that energy. And the team is young, so it's great to see them sort of clicking and gelling around that. So I'm here for it.
It's funny that, Wilson Contreras is only 1 year younger than Arenado, but just like their demeanor and the way that they play is as if Arenado is twice the age of Contreras. But I agree. All right, moving down the line, Quinn Matthews made his first rehab start at the rookie level for the Cardinals and pitched great. Only a couple of innings. I think he got 4 strikeouts in a couple of innings. But he is back on the good health train, and so we'll see what happens. Yeah. This is, I still think, even with the setback, that there's a real chance that he throws major league innings this year. Mm-hmm. And we'll see if an injury pops up or however that unfolds. But good to see him healthy and effective right away.
Yeah, he was stumbling a little bit at AAA to start the season, and then the injury. So I think that slows down his, rapid ascension to the major leagues. Plus, add in the surprising fact that there's really not space for him in the rotation right now.
For now, yeah. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, for now. But they don't need to rush him. So why rush him? I'd like to see him get some more extended time at AAA, adjust to that level, and then make the jump to the major league level when the time is right and when there's a need. But either way, it's you can't do any of that when you're on the shelf. So it's good to see him back. We also had Teen Kentz get activated.
Yep.
Which he's on a different track. He's on a different, it's 2 very different types of pitchers. But they're the 2 top pitching prospects in the organization, and they were both on the IL at the same time. So it's good to see them both back and pitching. Hopefully, these injuries are done and not something that linger all season.
Right. Matt Swanson has been returned to the Memphis Redbirds. I'm a little disappointed about this. He was so good. I think that slider is the real deal. The fastball looks nice too. Just not enough room for him on the team right now, I guess. Roycroft kind of getting a little bit of a longer look, which is fine.
And Graceffo staying up too. So
yeah, and I'm not sure those two. I think I would maybe take Swanson definitely over Roycroft, but we're seeing what we have, and those guys are, I think, no, I guess Roycroft is a little bit older, but Graceffo is younger. They're liking what they see out of Graceffo from the bullpen, I suppose. The stuff is played up, but I guess it's a good problem to have. Too many good guys.
Yeah, this is just how the bullpen would go, right? There's always going to be a handful of guys, sort of regardless of performance. There's people are sent up and down just to balance workloads, to manage the day to day of the full season grind. You can be crushing it, and just we need a fresh guy up for the series or whatever it may be. Like it's the most rotated spot of any team is this sort of
Right.
back end or the middle part, the early parts of your bullpen.
Right. The Pirates have claimed Michael Hellman off waivers from the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a guy. I think Jose Barrero just took up his space, and there's no use for him. And the Pirates could use anybody and everybody.
Anybody and every. I know you've got to feel bad for Hellman
going
to the Pirates, but maybe he gets to play.
It's a real chance to play there. Yeah, absolutely. Like he might be better than IKF right now. I don't know. Like that guy is. They have some holes in their team.
I keep being surprised. Like I know there's value in a guy who's played at the major league level and like isn't going to just completely collapse. But I keep getting surprised that IKF just keeps like getting contracts on teams and things like that. So I know he's been good at times, but it always seems to me like you've got to have a guy equal to or better than IKF in the minors.
Well, they also have Adam Frazier playing second base, and Michael Hellman might be better than him. Yeah, like this team sucks. We'll talk about
maybe Frazier. Yeah.
I want to hear your defense of Adam Frazier.
Just he's been good at the major league level in the past, right?
Yeah, the last time he was good
might have been a little
was 2021.
Okay.
He was pretty good that year though. He had a 113 WRC plus. He's a good defender. Pirates guy. Yeah. He's born and bred.
He's bleeds yellow.
Yeah. Final piece of,
did they say that?
They could. Bleeds black and gold, black and yellow.
Black and yellow.
Simra Bursay has moved to the full season IL because of Tommy John surgery, which happened. I guess so. I really thought this guy was going to probably impact the big league club at some point as well.
I did too.
Just his age and his previous success, but not in the cards this year.
Yeah, I got to talk to him briefly at he was a part of the panel that I was at for the winter warm up, and it's always just a bummer. These guys super excited for the season. Had a lot of interesting things to say about like pitch shape, and was just like really in the weeds on it. And then now is out for at least a year. So hopefully he comes back healthy and can pick it up where he was. Where we thought he was going. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I got for at least specific Cardinal news right now, Nathan.
All right. Well, like I said, the Cardinals are 27-22, 5 games above 500. Something like 13 of their last 16 wins, though. So as you've said a couple times, especially early in the season, you can turn your entire season around in a good week or two. And it's been a very, very good 2 weeks going. They win 13 of 16, and that puts them 5 games over 500. So you can see how far down we were getting, and it took something like this to get them back. But at this point, they are back. They are in the hunt for the NL Central, and technically right there in the hunt for the wild card. Although I think we all still think probably there are 3 better teams in other divisions than the Cardinals for those wild card spots, but you never know. You take what you can get. And as it stands right now, on May 21st, they are competing for 2 different playoff spots. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun even the losses I talked about last night against the Tigers.
Great game.
Almost great game. Comeback. They knock Skubal out in the 6th inning, tie it up after a Victor Scott double and some small ball. And then, Leahy, he continues to do it, but finally did give up a run in a critical moment. But even that one run, that's going to happen. He has continued to be really good. And so you can't even be too upset about the one run. That's going to happen. These guys are going to give up runs. And they couldn't come back against a really good team, but a great game. And it definitely watching this team, you're they're in it. They're putting it in good at bats. They're fighting the whole way. So it's fun. I think, it's still too early for me to say like this is a good team altogether. But as of right now, like you can't argue with the results. And I'm certainly way more inclined to say that this is a competitive team than I've ever been this year. And frankly, more than I thought I might be at any point this
Agreed.
year. Yeah. How are you feeling about it?
I think I'm kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, right? Like we look at these
Yeah.
stats on a week to week basis, and it's something I put a lot, a weight in, just trying to keep a gauge of the team. And something that's really interesting this week of Cardinals baseball, all of their pitchers that threw at least one inning, none of them were put up any negative WAR balance. It was all either league average or above. And while that doesn't sound like much, that doesn't happen very often. Usually someone gets their ass handed to them. And actually we had Sonny Gray. He had a really bad start, but then he came back and flattened his WAR out for the week by having that 10 strikeout performance where he looked fantastic and that curveball was dancing all over the place. So that's kind of the shoe that I'm waiting to drop is when is the pitching going to stop working? Is it going to be Miles Michaelis, who has been pretty much just great for a few weeks really at this point? Andre Palante, are guys in the bullpen going to start breaking? Is somebody going to get injured? I believe in the offense. I believe in the position player group pretty much entirely from a offensive standpoint. The defense, we've talked about it multiple times. It's the best in baseball, at least right now. I think there's some pretty good base running that's happening. And we're starting to have offensive performances kind of pop up out of the ground where Alec Burleson is fighting for time. Jordan Walker had a really, really nice week.
I know. Let's talk about that for a second because it was last week where we started to throw out the theory that we've been predicting things and calling things on this show. And, it's been working. And so you did a little bit of a deep dive on Jordan Walker. We ultimately landed on he's been making bad decisions. And this last week, the last 7 days, he has exactly 1 OPS, 5 hits and 14 at bats, a home run, a stolen base, which is fun. This is incredibly small sample size, 14 at bats, or 14 plate appearances. But with how bad he has looked to hit, like, was it 357 with a 1 OPS over those 14 PAs? Like, that's great. Yep. And is it just an outlier? He got a few good hits in a small sample size, or I don't know. Maybe it's the start to something turning around a little bit. I don't know. We'll find out. But he's just one of the pieces that had a really good week.
I will say this morning, because I knew we were going to talk about this, I went to go look at his discipline data, and nothing really there stands out. It's all kind of the same. So who knows? It could just be, like you said, there's the variance. I will say, though, when you look at his batted ball data for this past week, it is through the roof. It is 95 plus exit velo, some really hard hit balls. It's really exciting when he actually makes contact, which is kind of always
when
been
he
the case.
he hits it hard. Yeah,
but he
just doesn't hit it.
Nothing is popping out from like a zone swing percentage or an out of zone percentage or a zone contact percentage. Any of the stuff we talked about last week. But I say let's get excited because good things are happening and maybe this will snowball into even better things. Ivan Herrera has also been back. He's not really catching. I think he's only caught, like 1 game since he's been back up. Mm-hmm. But when you are hitting, he's got a 253 WRC plus over the last week. He's hitting 538, Nate. Nate Silver style, 538.
Yeah, Nate, I was about to say, what's it? Hey, that's moving the needle.
That's moving. God. But he's just been amazing. I mean, what do you say about Ivan Herrera other than that he's the best hitter on the team, I guess? I don't know.
I mean, maybe one of the best hitters in the league. Like he's doing it consistently. He missed a bunch of times, so we're still in small sample size range with him, but everything is supporting this. All the underlying numbers. He has something like a over 500 expected weighted on base average. So I think he's even underperforming his metrics to some degree, which is absolutely insane. So, whether it's a just an extreme heater and he's going to completely collapse or not, like everything looks really, really good from him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine he's going to carry this for the rest of the season, but
No.
I do think we have a really, really good hitter here. Whether he cools off dramatically or not, where he's put himself in a really good spot. And the way that the Cardinals are using him and prioritizing his bat over everything else, it's hard to argue with. Obviously, I still don't want him to be done catching. And I've said this before, but I think that the stolen base problem is overblown. He's a really good hitter, though, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we want, like, Pages is fine, but we want Herrera in the catching spot so we can DH like a Burleson more regularly, who's maybe starting to put it together, or get Gorman back in there to maybe continue to try to figure that out. Pages has been doing well, don't get me wrong, but I still think the ideal lineup here is Herrera as a catcher, at least for now. Maybe the next couple of years, again, maybe things will change. We've hashed over that enough. I think he should be the catcher still today, though.
Yep.
But I'm assuming right now they're being kind on the knee, which is by all means, like, if they need to do this for another month, whatever.
Sure.
His health is the most important thing. But long term, I think he should still be a catcher.
You mentioned Alec Burleson. You said, I think you said Jordan Walker had a 1 OPS this week. Alec Burleson had over almost a 1,600 OPS this week. Obviously, he only played, and he didn't play every day this week, but he did put up 2 homers. He got a couple of walks, only 1 strikeout. Really looking like he is coming online. The swing looks, I think Ali Marmol says something like the swing looks like it has intent, or he just looks like he's much more comfortable at the plate right now. I still hate watching him in the outfield. There's a play where he was swapped out. It was yesterday or the day before where he swapped out Jordan Walker, and watching Burley kind of stumble after a ball, especially after watching Walker out there for a few innings, it's just noticeable. Walker has done such a good job that he makes Burleson look like far and away.
It's pretty wild, right? Like, Walker's actually turned himself into a plus defender, which is incredible. And I think just really continues to speak to the type of athlete Walker is. And, like, guys need time. He's still so young, but he has become a plus right fielder, which is amazing. But, and I want to say with Burleson too, like, I think I've been really beating the drum for most of this season that Burleson doesn't really make a lot of sense on this team. And that has been purely through the lens of, I see this team as a rebuilding team. If this is a team that's trying to win in 2025, I am full switch on my opinion on Alec Burleson. I've been saying he makes a lot of sense on a team that's trying to win right now, where you're playing platoon splits, and he's good against right-handed pitching, and that's the most common pitching, and he makes a lot of sense for a team that can platoon and can try to win every game, maximize every moment, which is not what I thought the Cardinals were 2.5 weeks ago. But now that maybe they are that, I'm back on board with the, like, Burleson makes more sense to me on this team, and I'm here for them prioritizing at bats, because we see now this last week and beyond what he brings to the table, which is one thing. And it's hitting the ball, hitting it really well. He's also the slowest person on the team, by the way. I don't know if you saw that too, but he is the lowest sprint speed on the team. So he's the slowest and one of the worst defenders. But he hit ball hard.
One of the slowest runners in all of baseball. I did not
in all of baseball.
His percentile ranking on sprint speed is 4. Wow. Okay. So he is not a super dynamic player, but he is hitting the ball, and I will say, if he is actually adding the walks to his game, which he has exercised patience over the last couple of weeks, then you're talking about a very good hitter, somebody who can kind of hunt their pitches, take a walk, and also crush righties. We're talking about an
Yeah.
even different or an even a step up from even what he's been. Speaking of a guy who's stepping up from where he's been, I think we really got a gush all over Mason Wynn for a second. He's showing real signs of progression right now. His walk rate is 10.5% so far in 2025. Last year was 6.5%. Obviously, through the whole season. We're only through a part of the season right now. He is also hitting the ball harder. He's hitting with a more optimal launch angle, which is resulting in more barrels. Of course, launch angle and hard hit equals a barrel. But he's kind of doing everything while also being like a top 3 defensive shortstop. And I want to recognize that. He is unbelievable. He might be the best player on the Cardinals in a couple of years. He just continues to progress from the time they drafted him to this very second. He has only gotten better and better and better. And it's just like there's been some dips, but it's just been this sharp line up. I don't know even what to predict for him, but the fact that he's hitting the ball harder and walking more is extremely exciting.
Yeah, they say development is not linear. Seemingly, except for Mason Wynn, he just keeps getting better at every level, and we're seeing it again. So I don't know. You don't want to put like caps on this guy, but you can certainly start to see he's got the approach to carry a high average. Adding in that walk rate is going to help with that, and he seems to be adding power. He's not quite stealing as much as he has stated he wants to, but that is more of a comfort thing. He missed some time. You could see maybe that's something he doesn't want to focus on right now. Maybe he doesn't want to get hurt, whatever it may be. But I don't know, man. You start to look at like a 280 plus batting average, 15 to 20 plus, low 20s, I think. We still got to be realistic here, but maybe 20. So like, one of the best defensive shortstops that's running a near 2020 season with a high batting average. It's one of the best players in baseball is what that is,
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. And he's only in his sophomore year. So, like a great man once said, lock him up, we need to.
Damn it. I hate you.
We gotta extend this guy. It's only going to get more expensive.
I think we're like almost late. It might already be late, to be honest.
Yeah.
Last year, over 150 games, he put up 3.6 WAR. We're at 38 games played right now, and he's got 1.4 WAR. He looks like he's going to eclipse that probably around the All-Star break or so. If he continues to play like he's playing. So it's
well, and that's with missing some time already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, he's pacing for what, a 5 WAR season. And again, we think he's still got room to grow. So it's pretty awesome.
It's very fun. I like to see it. Friend of the pod, Dan Zimborski, wrote an article this week. Nate, did you see this? Did you read about this? Did you catch this?
I missed this one, so I'm interested to hear you tell me more about
Obviously, he is the daddy of Zips, so he's usually talking about projections. When we were even talking about a couple of weeks ago about how projection systems don't really pick up on people like Victor Scott and others kind of having the years that they're having, and then there's a kind of delay or a long tail with that. Anyways, he wrote an article this week called "Which Hitters Have Seen Their 2026 Projections Change the Most." Features 3 Cardinals hitters. And I just thought this was really exciting that Ivan Herrera, Victor Scott II, and Lars Nootbaar were all noted as being I think it was the top 25 players who've adjusted their 2026 projections the most. Ivan Herrera has already added 1 full F4 to his projection next year. Victor Scott, almost an entire F4, and Lars Nootbaar 0.8 F4. And really, I think that just illustrates that what we're seeing these guys do is real. It's projectable, and they're insanely hot start. It was, I guess, unpredicted, or people weren't seeing it, or the systems weren't seeing it. And what they've done in 40 games has already changed their future outlook. That is how impressive they've been so far.
Yeah. Projection systems are exactly what they sound like. They take previous production, compare it to the long history of baseball and say, if this guy progresses at sort of an expected clip and you give him a full season, this is what we might see from him. What they can't do, and of course they can't, is project breakouts, extreme improvements to skills, things like that. Or people skipping development time and going from, like a Victor Scott, who kind of seemingly this year has immediately come in and is able to hit for average. Most projection systems are not going to expect a guy who of his skill set, his underlying metrics, to come in and immediately be able to hit for average like he's hitting. So it's part of the fun. It's part of why, that's why they say you got to play the game, right? Because you just can't project these breakouts. And that's why the reason the Cardinals are good this year, or have been good this year, are because of these breakouts, because of the Victor Scotts and the Lars Nootbaars and Ivan Herreras and things like that nobody, no projection system could predict.
Yeah, and Scott in particular, he's heating up again right now. Not that he's really taken a step back, but I think we're about to see some more balls over the wall, and there's a lot of parts of this team that are really fun to watch right now.
Yeah. Speaking of sprint speed,
no kidding,
Victor Scott,
99th percentile.
Fourth. Yeah, I think he's the fourth fastest guy in baseball. Yeah. And the guys that are in front of him are like Bobby Witt and then like some speed only guys, So
did you know him and Chandler Simpson are friends?
I did not know
I
that.
thought that was amazing.
They just go to like fast guy clubs.
Yep, that's what they do. They go to fast guy clubs and they be fast. It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, there's like the door to the club is open and you start on a line and they say like, go, and anyone who can get through the door before it closes is allowed in.
That's how fast clubs work. I can't believe that you knew that. I guess you must be in the fast club.
I partake from time to time.
Just did a little bit of a, who was that? Who's the guy with the chin? You reminded me of him. Jay Leno?
Yeah. Well, there was that one time where I didn't make it all the way and I got cut in half by the fast guy club door. So that was pretty rough.
Yeah,
but
that sounds bad.
You don't even want to go on with that one.
I hated it. I didn't think it was good. Yeah, I don't want to add fuel to that.
Okay. All right. So I don't know. There's, like you said, everybody this week contributed positively to the team. Like there's not a lot. It's just kind of fun right now. So whether this lasts all season or this is like last year where they were the best team in the league in May and it just all kind of went downhill from there, we'll find out. But I will say that it is very nice. And coming into a season where we really didn't know what we were going to get, if this ends up being a blip and this season is not a successful one and from a standings standpoint, I'm certainly enjoying this right now. And I hope that everyone that is listening and is watching is able to sort of wind down the like, what's the word I'm looking for? The pessimistic view of this team. And like, we'll have plenty of time for that if they become bad again, So let's just enjoy it while they're good.
That is true. I agree with all of that. And if you don't want to go to a game because the Cardinals said they weren't going to try to win this year, I get everything on that. But the team has a really good defense. The offense is young and getting better. The pitching, we'll see. It's a good team playing well right now. And yeah, I say the Cardinals are currently under promising and over delivering, and I think we should enjoy that.
Yeah. And again, like it's kind of being backed up. Their run differential is good. Their Pythag says they should have an even better win percentage than they have right now. So like, we all know how this could fall apart.
I think
but it's not right now.
The only metric that is not in the Cardinals' favor is their pitching staff strikeout percentage. That is the only thing that puts up a huge red flag. Everything else looks legit.
Yeah, and I guess you could argue alongside with that the average age of the pitching staff when you compare it to the history of injuries in baseball and whatnot, and just like the likelihood of them all just staying pitching and all that. But counterpoint to that, I don't know. Michaelis goes down and McGreevy's in there now. Like you're like, okay, that might be fine.
Might be some addition by subtraction. I fully agree with that. I give Miles all the credit in the world that he is doing it with his smoke and mirrors, and it is working for now. But if and when that stops, the Cardinals aren't in that bad of a spot, and we really get to see what those minor league guys can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, they've got a couple more series coming up that we're going to talk about. We're going to hit some league news and play a little game to end the episode. But before we do all of that, we want to remind the listeners of this show that this show is listener supported by listeners just like you.
Keep saying listeners, Nate. Listeners.
And viewers.
We've
got some people on the YouTube channel. We're waving at them.
Hey, guys.
Hey. If you're watching the show, what's up? What do you think of my new glasses?
Are you hitting on them?
What's up?
You from around here?
What's your favorite drink? What was I saying? Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you want to support the show directly, consider joining the Patreon. Patrons get a couple different things. Typically early access to episodes, which is cool. And we also have a private chat server. It's on Discord. It's called the Bird Scored. It's a good place to hang, talk about baseball, talk about the Cardinals, sort of live follow along the rest of us. It's a good place to hang. So definitely recommend it. Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Also, consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. That does help us. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Smash it.
That helps.
Smash it, baby.
Smash it. Hit that little bell. I'm pointing. I'm doing the thing that they do. And tell your friends, tell your family. Now's a great time to hop on the show. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Hey, don't hop on me, am I right? You can find us on social media, on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram. We got a TikTok.
This guy.
You can find our podcast over on Spotify. Like and subscribe there as well. 5 stars only, by the way. Nate already said the YouTube stuff. We're over there. You can get not Youngry t-shirts and find all of the Talking About Birds stuff over at talkingaboutbirds.com. Of course, you can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com, and you should send us a voicemail, call us, send us a voicemail, or text message us at 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
What about like a shirt that says like not young, still hungry?
That's good. I mean, I think that's just a shirt. I don't know if it has any baseball connotation, but it's good.
All right. Maybe we'll throw that up on the website. If you want that, check it out. Talkingaboutbirds.com. And if it's not there, contact me. I'll put it up there. All right. So, Hambone, the Cardinals are wrapping their series against the Tigers right now. Hopefully that ends well. We got another bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Still staying out of the NL Central. But at least on the NL side, we are seeing the Arizona Diamondbacks, or as we call them in our house, the Arizona Butts'n'cracks.
So good. People love it.
Thank you. Yep. They are a pretty good team. What are you expecting from these D-backs?
Yeah, I mean, Corbin Carroll is doing things that I didn't think Corbin Carroll would be physically capable of doing. And by that, I mean hitting all of the home runs for such a tiny, little, itty-bitty guy.
He's just a whittle guy.
He's just a whittle guy. I mean, he's so tiny. Muy pequeño. And he's got 15 homers already this year. Yeah. He is one of those aforementioned fastest guys in baseball. He's a good defender. He's at the top of their lineup. So, yeah, he scares me. And I mean, really, this offense is one of the best in baseball. Ketel Marte is having a really nice year. Again, probably another close to MVP type guy that he's just kind of that guy every year. Mm-hmm. Eugenio Suarez is also hitting a bunch of doinks. Gabby Moreno is getting really hot right now. I mean, the team is just, they're slugging the ball. They're one of the best teams in baseball at doing that.
Lourdes Gurriel is kind of a streaky player, but when he is hot, he is one of the better hitters in baseball, and he's been playing very, very well right now. Alek Thomas, also quite streaky, but he's an interesting guy. Some speed, can put the ball in play. And we haven't talked about Perdomo.
Yeah.
Like, complete breakout at the major league level, coming out of nowhere. Well, I don't know. Probably Diamondback fans are saying this guy.
The Diamondbacks extended him right before this breakout, so somebody knew it was coming.
Somebody knew it was coming. They got to him before this, but he's been one of the better hitters in baseball this year. So you didn't say Josh Naylor. I mean, it's top to bottom. This is a great team.
They just called up one of the best prospects in baseball, Jordan Lawler, who I don't even know really where he's playing.
He's not really. He's like, people expect him to take over for Eugenio next year as their starting third baseman. He's done about everything you can to prove that he's ready at the minor league level. So they're just like, well, let's get him up here. But he's starting like every fourth game. Yeah. He can play kind of everywhere, so that they'll find him playing time. But he's really just like their super utility bench guy, and he was arguably the top prospect in baseball. Depending on how you slice it. So they're good offensively. They are very good. And pitching, not as good as they're hitting, but that's hard to do. Their pitching is good too. We all know Zach Gallen.
Yep.
Merrill Kelly's fine. Brandon Pfaadt is a young guy who's kind of breaking out. And then Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
We know that guy.
Yeah.
We hate that guy.
Luckily, the Cardinals will miss Burns. It'll be Gallen, Kelly, and Pfaadt that they'll get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we no Burns this time, which is good news because he has also been like absolutely on fire recently. He's a very good pitcher, pitching very good. What's funny about these Diamondbacks, we talked about them early in the season, that they're a team that should probably be trading for Ryan Helsley. Now that trade's probably that's probably not going to happen. But Shelby Miller is currently closing out games for them. And he's doing a fine job, but it's kind of funny how the Shelby Miller has matriculated throughout MLB and found himself here in a pretty good position on a good team.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're young closer. They had arguably a very, very good young closer, someone who might be with the team for a very long time, but he's on the IL.
Yeah,
and so
I think we talked about Justin Martinez a couple of weeks ago. That guy he has got all of the stuff.
Yeah. So he'll be out for a while, and Shelby Miller is there, and he's good too. So it's a good team. Now they're only 26-23, so they've scuttled a little bit, and being in the NL West means that puts them in fourth place in that division. But don't be fooled by any of that. This is a very good team. Yeah. So should be a good series. The Cardinals have been playing up against these good teams. Maybe they're just also a good team, but we'll see. It should be a fun series. I always liked the Diamondbacks. I don't know why. They're a team that I like.
They're kind of the underdog in the West that isn't the Rockies, and they're actually trying. I mean, I think like the fact they're a likable team because of their player group, and then their owner going and getting Corbin Burns when like a small market team isn't really supposed to be getting players like that. We should be rooting for them. They're spending money, at least compared to their market size, and they are athletic, powerful, fun to watch.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Mostly a young team. A lot of this team will be together for a while.
Yeah.
Should be a fun series. And then after that, the Cardinals go to Baltimore. To hopefully beat up on the utter collapse that is the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. I guess you could say we all saw this coming because they needed pitching and all they did is go and get Charlie Morton. But I don't think anybody saw it being this bad. They are 15-31 or something like that. I mean, I saw a stat the other day. This might have been a couple days ago. So, but it basically said no team in baseball history has made the playoffs after being 15-31.
According to
surprising,
according to Fangraphs, their playoff percentage is less than 2%.
Yeah, and then throw in the AL East of it all, and it just they don't have a path anymore, which is a bummer. We like the Orioles, we like the players. Jackson Holliday is having a pretty good year again. Remembering that he's 20, he's 21.
21.
So he's improving across the board from his pretty lackluster 2024. Gunnar Henderson is back and healthy. And so he's starting to turn it on. Like this was one of the best teams in baseball last year. So, and the team hasn't changed too much except for, they don't have Corbin Burns and stuff like that this year. So I think they're going to put a run together this year at some point, but they're probably too far gone at this point to really make the playoffs. But hopefully
I think the offense is going to turn around at some point. I think that Adley Rutschman is better than he has been. I think Gunnar Henderson will go on an absolute heater at some point. And I believe in their kind of carousel of sluggers. I think that Heston Kjerstad or Kobe Mayo or some of these guys are going to really start hitting the ball over the wall. They're pitching. I mean, we're leaning on Zach Eflin and Dean Kramer to drive this team. I just don't see it happening. I think that those guys are fine if those are your 4 and 5, maybe. But as your 1, 2, or 3, it is just not going to cut it. So I don't think Charlie Morton's going to turn it around. They don't really have anybody else that they can go grab. Obviously, their best pitching option is currently injured, Grayson Rodriguez with elbow inflammation. Westberg, who's one of their better hitters, is injured right now. Colton Cowser's got a broken thumb. Tyler O'Neill's got a shoulder issue. I just don't see how this team is going to turn it around. So they might get hot at some point, but they look bad.
Yeah. They do have a very good bullpen. So, ideally, if you're going to beat them, you beat them early, which hasn't been too hard when they're throwing out Charlie Morton and guys like that. Yeah. But Felix Bautista is back, and they're still sort of treating him like I don't think he's pitched back-to-back games yet. But when he pitches very well. Yenier Cano is a very good setup man. Keegan Aiken, also a very good setup man. So their bullpen is pretty good. Yeah. But that doesn't really matter if they're down 6-0 by the 5th, right? So should be a team that the Cardinals can go and beat.
Yeah, it looks like the Cardinals are projected to face Tomoyoki Sugano, Cade Povich, and Charlie Morton is projected to return to the rotation to face Miles Michaelis. So we'll see. But you have to like all those matchups. It would be really fun to just come in there and stomp on the other birds and take the win.
Yeah. Sugano has been, pretty good for a 35-year-old coming in from another, was it the Korean League?
No, I believe he's Japanese.
Was it the Japanese League? He's
Nippon. Yep.
He's been okay.
Yeah.
So, he's outperformed his underlying metrics a little bit. So maybe the Cardinals can
it's just like
force some regression.
Yeah. It's just a weird allocation of resources. Why get Sugano and bring in Charlie Morton when you could retain Corbin Burns? Obviously, it's more money, but these guys just don't move the needle. And you're really expecting like the 99th percentile outcome. And like you just said, Charlie Morton's 41. Sugano is 35. He's almost 36. Like the Orioles deserve this. I believe that. And if I was in charge of the team, I would fire Mike Elias for kind of, I guess just wasted potential. It could always turn around maybe next year, but I think that this is like a masterclass in mismanagement.
They looked at the 2024 Cardinals and they thought, no, that is the playbook for building a rotation. Minimum age 35. Bring them in. Well,
that I guess we should say that while they did bring in Kyle Gibson for a couple of starts, he has been DFA'd.
He's out.
So they tried it. It just we got a better version of Kyle Gibson, I guess.
Yep. So it'll be 6 games over this next week. One really good team, one really bad team. Yep. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully this streak continues and they keep playing really good baseball. So let's touch on some league news from around the league.
Yeah. Speaking of those O's, they fired their manager Brandon Hyde this week. Obviously, it's all his fault. It's definitely his fault that Kyle Gibson sucks and Charlie Morton sucks and Zach Eflin hasn't really been as good as you were hoping he would be, and all the other problems we just talked about. Obviously, this is all Brandon Hyde's fault. And
shouldn't have done what he did.
This is the turnaround, actually. They don't need to acquire any new players. They don't need to build a pitching staff around all their young potential superstars. they should fire more people, and Gunnar Henderson will be more Gunnar Henderson now going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that phenomenon that happens sometimes when a coach gets fired and the team goes out and like wins that game that day and like crushes or whatever. The day that Brandon Hyde got fired, the game that night, it was like the Nationals or something put up like 9 runs on the Orioles in the first inning.
Yeah.
It might be exaggerating a little bit, but they got absolutely trounced on that first game. It's like, yeah, it's a poorly composed team. You got to feel for Brandon Hyde. I mean, of all these firings, we've been like, well, it's kind of a bad team. You've been with them for a while, and it makes sense to move on at some point. Brandon Hyde, it's like he was there when they were really, really good.
Yep.
They gave him Charlie Morton, Kyle Gibson, Sagano, and then he gets fired a month and a half into the season because they're bad. It's like I get it. Paul Skeens said it himself: when you bad start, someone's gonna pay for it. This is the way it goes. But you would think they'd have a little bit more understanding for Brandon Hyde, considering the where the problem is coming from. It's not like anyone expected. No one who knew anything about how baseball go expected this rotation to be good and really for this team to be good with that sort of support around him.
It's funny being, if you're Mike Elias and you're the GM or whatever, his Pobo role, whatever it is, and you get to fire somebody and blame them for the shitty roster that you put in place. It's it's a funny place to be. All right, moving on. Jose Alvarado.
That's real power,
I guess. I think Mike Elias is going to be fired too, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado gets an 80-game suspension for PED use. As I'm sure everyone knows, that means that you will be ineligible for the playoff run that the Phillies will inevitably go on. And I think this is a pretty big loss. This is a key contributor to a World Series potential bullpen and team in general. It means that they are really going to have to lean on Jordan Romano, who had a pretty rough start to the year. But they still have players like Ryan Kirkring could step in and do some good things here. But I think this only pushes for the team to really have to make an addition to the bullpen at some point, and maybe sooner than later, because 80 games without one of the better lefty relievers in baseball is going to be a black hole for them.
Yeah, their bullpen has been kind of a mess. They've had a lot of good performances, but the way they've aligned it and whatnot has been a bit of a mess this season. They brought in Romano. They thought they could fix him and make him be their closer, former closer for the Blue Jays. At one point, one of the better relievers in baseball.
Yep.
So they brought him in. He struggled, and they've been kind of doing the carousel there at the back end of the bullpen. It finally started to align around Alvarado as their closer. And then this happens.
Yeah.
So they're kind of back to square one. Romano is starting to turn it back around a little bit. We'll see, but he was pretty rough with the Blue Jays there for a while too. I definitely think of all the teams to be buyers at the trade deadline for a reliever, they're number one on the list, and they've shown a capacity to make those sorts of trades in the past. Yeah. So, did you see they're saying it was like a diet pill that he took or something?
Did say it was
like
a weight loss drug that had like testosterone in it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just take the shot, man. Just go get on the Ozempic. I mean, he's a bigger guy. I understand. I get it. What are you doing though? These players putting things into their body and claiming it is shocking to me. But
they always want. And I could imagine that there's a degree of truth here that like their intent was not to take a banned substance. They're not trying to gain a steroid level edge. And maybe they actually just were trying to take, lose weight or whatnot. But at the end of the day, these are all billion-dollar organizations that have the capacity to test absolutely everything down to the molecular level and ensure that they're not breaking the rules. And so I have some empathy for some of these guys when it does turn out to be like their intent was something other than what they were, banned for. But at the end of the day, it's on them and the organization to not take this shit, to test it and to ensure that they're not breaking the rules. So I don't really I'm empathetic to some degree, but it is how it works. And he deserves the suspension if that substance was banned.
Yes. Just listen to the doctors, take what the doctors give you. it seems very likely
Yeah.
that this will bite the Phillies and Alvarado in a few months here. But it is what it is. All right, final piece of news I wanted to bring up. Paul Skeens is the first player in Pirates history to throw a complete game with 3 or fewer hits and lose. He also struck out 9. Poor Skeens. There's been a lot. I don't think that this is going to happen, but there's been a lot of chatter. People screaming from the rooftop saying, get Skeens off of this team. We don't want to watch one of the biggest stars in baseball languish for the next 4 or 5 years in, I've been complaining about the Pirates, I feel like a couple of weeks now. Then one of the worst ran organizations in all of sports. I don't think that's going to happen because, I mean, I guess if they get a trade that absolutely blows them out of the water, it could maybe happen. And Skeens is the kind of guy that you would trade or you would blow somebody out of the water for. But it seems like we're kind of just screwed. We're just going to watch this and it sucks.
Yeah. No, there was an article earlier today saying that the Pirates have said they have no intention to trade Paul Skeens, and which is the right call for a normal organization. Sure. You would never consider trading Paul Skeens 1 year into his rookie contract. Right. But it's the Pirates. So we would love for him to be. Well, I don't know. I want him to be on the Cardinals. Any other team, I'm terrified of him. So I kind of like, from a strictly Cardinals lens, I'm like, keep him on the Pirates.
I think if you put him on a team like the Rays or the Dodgers or the Mariners or like a team with a history of developing major league pitching, and you give them arguably one of the most purely talented pitchers in a very long time, like he could become next level scary.
Yeah, if he isn't already, it's impossible to imagine. Like, what is a tick up from Paul Skeens? I don't even know.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for league news this week, Nate.
All right, Hambone. Last week we checked in on our draft day. We checked in on our Heroes and Hatchlings edition. Draft day this week, I thought it might be fun to peek under the hood a little bit and look at some StatCast numbers from the team and see if you can guess who's leading the team and a few key metrics that I like to look at in this week's edition of Who Charted Under the Hood edition.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I've got a stat and I'm going to give you some parameters to it. And then you tell me who you think is leading it. Right. Some of them are good. Most of them are good. Okay. But, not all of them are.
Bring it on, son.
All right. So which player on the team do you think has the most barrels?
Most
barrels being, Ben mentioned it earlier, barrel being that perfect combination of sweet spot, exit velocity and launch angle.
So a lot of times homers are barrels. Almost all the time homers are barrels. So my mind immediately goes to who has the most homers on the team. And who's kind of a bit of a barrel freak is old Larry Nootbaar. I'm kind of leaning towards him just because that's what he'd be doing. Could also see it being Ivan Herrera because he is essentially a baseball god at the moment. But I'm going to go with Nootbaar.
That is correct. Lars Nootbaar has 16 barrels on the season.
He's pretty good, that Nootbaar. He hits the ball.
He do hit the ball. All right. Next, we're going to look at average exit velocity. I've got 2 qualifiers here. The first one, we're going to look at minimum of 40 plate appearances. Okay? So not like super small sample size, but still a pretty small sample size. Who has the highest average exit velocity?
Average exit velocity. Contreras would make a lot of sense here. Jordan Walker, even though he misses a lot, he does hit the shit out of the ball when he's doing it. So I'm thinking it's in between those two. But Wilson had I guess they both had rough starts this season. I'm going to go with Jaywalk just because he hits the ball so hard.
No, Hambone, the leader, and it is not particularly close, with a 40 plate appearance minimum. Lucan Baker,
damn it,
has an average exit velocity of 94.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
poor
poor guy.
You want to know who? I know. You know who is second with this small sample size?
Yes.
This one you will never guess. Thomas Saggese.
Really?
91.9.
Huh. What are these guys doing down in the minors?
They shouldn't be we can't be having them up here. Now expand it to minimum 100 plate appearances. I will say that those two guys, Baker and Saggese, are the top two on the team.
Yeah.
But they have a smaller sample size. So numbers 3 and 4 we're setting the minimum at 100 plate appearances. So we're now basically past Baker and Saggese. Who do you think are 3 and 4?
I'll go Contreras and Nootbaar.
It is Nootbaar with a 91.8, and then Jordan Walker with a 91.4.
All right.
Okay. Now let's look at whiff percentage. I think this is a very important underlying number.
Okay.
Critical to success at the major league level. Who has the lowest whiff percentage?
Lowest whiff percentage. Who is not whiffing very often? I guess Brendan Donovan is leading MLB in hits right now. That aligns with not whiffing a lot. I feel like Victor Scott is. I don't know. Mason Wynn doesn't whiff a lot. I'm gonna go Brendan Donovan.
That is correct.
Let's go.
Brendan Donovan has an 11.4% whiff.
Wow.
Percent. All right. Who has the highest?
What's the highest? Is it Gorman? I feel like that's all we see Gorman do.
It's Jordan Walker.
Dang it.
35.1%. Over 3 times as many whiffs as Brendan Donovan.
Not cute. We don't love to see it.
Not cute. Not cute. All right. Looking at pitching. Let's look at whiff percentage from a pitcher. So now this is a good thing, right? They want a high whiff percent. Minimum 200 pitches. So to give you an idea here, that's going to take out like most guys that you can think of off the top of your head probably qualify for 200 pitches, but someone like a Ryan Fernandez was at 159 or 158. But a Kyle Leahy is at 385.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So almost every pitcher that we've seen this season with any amount of regularity is exceeding 200, but this is cutting out some of those guys that we've only seen a handful of times. So who has the highest whiff percentage as a pitcher from the Cardinals?
I want to say, especially after that 10 strikeout performance, I want to say it's Sonny Gray. So I'm going to go Sonny Gray. He's the strikeout guy.
I would have thought that too, or I would have thought Ryan Helsley.
Yeah.
Hambone, it is Phil Maton.
Damn. Phil Maton having a really nice start to the year.
33.9% whiff.
Ooh, mommy.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Chase percent. How much are they generating chases?
Yeah.
Who has the highest?
Who has the highest chase rate?
Same minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Helsley is good at that because people are swinging wildly at those fastballs. I mean, also a Sonny Gray thing though, so I kind of just want to say Sonny Gray 2 times. Sonny Gray again, maybe. Come on now.
No.
Damn it.
This is a fun one though. Matthew Liberatore.
Oh wow.
34.3%.
Damn. Man, we didn't talk about him this week because we've been talking about him for the past month, but he is very good. He has cracked the code. Very good.
Yep. All right, we're gonna wrap up with some fielding. So, outs above average. Who's leading the team?
Outs above average. Who's leading the team? We got some good defenders right now. Victor Scott, Nolan Arenado, Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan. Probably one of those. I think, oh, goodness. Do I want to say Arenado? Or do I want to say Mason Wynn? I want to say, well, it's outs above average, right? So it's a cruel stat. So
It's a flat number.
okay, I'm going to go with Nolan Arenado, just edging out because he's played more games than I think any of those guys.
It is Victor Scott.
Dang.
He has 7
Wow.
outs above average.
Wow.
It's a very interesting list, Hambone. Now, we've talked about defensive metrics being squishy. It takes time for these to level out. But there's a couple things that really stood out to me on this. So the top 3 are exactly who you'd think it would be. You could swap these orders around. But it's Victor Scott, Mason Wynn, and then Nolan Arenado. Scott with 7, Wynn with 6, Arenado with 5. Then Wilson Contreras with 3.
Wow.
And then here's the fun one. Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman are tied for 5th on the team with 2.
Wow. That is unexpected.
Here's the most shocking one, though, Hambone, especially considering our conversation earlier and a name you just mentioned when considering the top overall. Alec Burleson and Brendan Donovan are tied at 1.
Really? I believe the Brendan Donovan. The Alec Burleson one, that feels like a rounding error or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the positioning
Jose
has been better this
Barrero
year.
Maybe. Jose Barrero is the worst on the team at -1.
That's funny.
Yeah. New Bar's at 1. Ciani was at 1. So,
all right.
Yeah. It's early, but definitely it makes sense. Scott, Wynn, and Arenado are at the top.
Remember Ciani?
I do.
Oh, poor guy.
Well, yep. All right. Well, that was this week's edition of Who Charted Under the Hood.
It's pretty good. Everyone likes it.
Yeah, they're cheering at wherever they are.
Get a life.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Talking About Birds. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out and sticking with it this long into the episode. Remember, talkingaboutbirds.com. You can find all of our links and our socials and our Patreon and all that. Talkingaboutbirds.com. We'll be back next week, as always. Hopefully, we have another solid week of baseball. Cardinals currently losing against the Tigers, but it's a close game.
Yeah.
They might be able to bring it back.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, if you have anything to say for the show, 848-48-BIRDS. And until next week, Cardinals.
Let's go.
That means a lot.
You know the move that Bane does to Batman in the third Batman, where
I break your back.
I think I'm gonna.
I do that to my kids all the time and the cats.
That's how I'm gonna finish you next time I'm in town.
I'm gonna be squirming way more than Batman did. Batman should have been squirming. He would not have been able to land such a clean break on his back if he'd been squirming.
That's a good point. I'll beat the shit out of you first, so that you are incapacitated, and then I'll do it.
I'll still be squirming.
All right.
I'm a wiggler.
All right.